Great. Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Just leave me in the chat a message so that I know that everyone can hear me and that we can start the webinar. Hi. So welcome to our today's webinar about digital tools and technology for project impact and market access by ECOTA, co-hosted with BioCarbon Standard. Today we will talk about how digital MRV are used in different kind of projects around the world to save the planet. And we will start with Paloma Saria. She's Business Development Manager at BioCarbon Standard. And with BioCarbon Standard, the programs are including the GHG, biodiversity, water crediting, ensuring that environmental impact is measurable, verifiable, and aligned with sustainability development goals. We also have here Lukas Seringer. Lukas Seringer is an advisor for BioCarbon Standard and also the CEO of Planet 2050. Planet 2050 is a climate tech company transforming the global carbon credit market. And the third participant of our today's webinar is Andres Gonzalez. Andres is co-founder and CEO of eGreen. eGreen is offering automated data-driven carbon market management solutions for businesses. And our last participant is Kobe Stroll. Kobe is Business Development Manager at Canoop, a technology provider utilizing AI and geospatial data for land use projects. Today's agenda, we will start with Paloma Saria. She will tell you a little bit about BioCarbon Standard and their mission and commitment. We will go on with Lukas Stieringer. He will talk a little bit more about the tokenization guidelines of BioCarbon Standard and also about the working group where you can also be part of. Paloma will tell you more about it. And afterwards, we'll go on with Andres. He will tell you more about how digital tools are used in real projects. And he will show you a little bit about the key challenges and learnings. And afterwards, we will have Kobe Stroll, who will talk more about the remote sensing and the digital monitoring and data-driven solutions for land use projects. Afterwards, we will go into a Q&A session, which will usually take around 50 minutes, where you can ask all of your questions. Okay, so far about the webinar myself. My name is Abdullah Yildiz. I'm the Managing Director of ECOTA. We are a sustainability platform from Germany, focusing on the topic of education and also developing helpful projects for our planet. So Paloma, feel free to unmute yourself and start about BioCarbon Standard.
Hello, thank you very much, Abdullah. Thank you very much to everyone for being here in this very interesting topic today that we're going to keep working on as BioCarbon Standard. So let me share my screen. I have a few slides. Give me 1 second, please. Can you see my, sorry. I have to share. Okay. There. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, can you see it fully?
Not fully.
Good, now?
Yes.
Perfect,
No,
okay. No? Okay, so well, thank you very much again for the opportunity, for everyone that accepted to participate as panelists today, and for all the audience that is joining us today. This is a very exciting topic for us, and there's also some exciting news we want to inform you about today. So BioCarbon Standard, who we are, for those of you who do not know us, we are an international woman-founded and led standard with a mission to contribute to climate change mitigation, adaptation, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable development. That said, we provide an innovative framework of rules, methodologies, and tools for the certification of climate impact projects in three main areas: carbon, biodiversity, and a new program for water credits as well. We were born in the global south, specifically in Colombia, but we're already an international standard. We've expanded to many other countries. We have presence in more than 10 countries, and also in Latin America, in Africa, and Eurasia. And our expectation is to keep going in that manner. We are currently approved by ICROA and currently aligning our standard with ICBCM and Corsia to be able to comply. And technology and innovation is at the core of our work. That's the reason why we're here today. And we currently integrate this component into our processes and work. But the idea is to keep strengthening this, and we strive to do it in order to achieve efficiency, transparency, trust, and traceability of our processes. So that said, let me go to the next slide. A little bit about our programs. So as I said, we have a carbon program, a biodiversity program, and a water program. In carbon, we aim to certify projects in order to show that the emission reductions are real, measurable, and permanent. We are there in four main sectors: nature-based solutions, energy, waste, and transportation. Just to tell you a little bit more about nature-based solutions, there we certify projects in RED+, ARR, or also what we call strategic ecosystems. So we can certify projects that conserve and restore strategic ecosystems like mangroves, wetlands in high mountain ecosystems, natural continental wetlands, natural savannas, and other types of ecosystems. In energy, we are mainly certifying projects in renewable energy, energy efficiency, waste, anything related to waste treatment, capture of methane, reusing it to generate clean energy, and also in sustainable transportation. And just in the first sector, nature-based solutions, there's many methodologies that have been developed by BioCarbon, but in the other three sectors, we mainly work with still with CDM methodologies. Well, we also have a biodiversity program, as I mentioned, which is aimed at contributing to conserving ecosystems and biodiversity with the intention of generating biocredits. And there we can certify three types of activities: conservation, restoration, and sustainable management of lands. And it could be one or the three types of activity in a what we call a biodiversity initiatives. And we have a new program that recently concluded stakeholder consultation. It's a water program to certify activities that contribute to the sustainable management and conservation of water resources. That just finished recently a stakeholder consultation, and there we can certify projects in efficient water use, protection of water sources, and restoration of natural ecosystems to generate water credits. And important to mention that in all these programs, there's three transversal objectives. Well, we aim, of course, to contribute to climate change mitigation, but also all these projects that certify under these programs must contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, to climate change adaptation, and also voluntarily, but it's highly recommended and adds value to the projects to generate co-benefits as biodiversity conservation, community development, and gender equality. And also important to mention that in nature-based solutions, given that we already have these programs, we really are trying to add more value to ecosystems, not only carbon, but also biodiversity and water. So these programs for nature-based solutions complement really well, and the idea is to help projects add more value to their developments. What is our global impact? So there's 47 projects registered in the registry managed by Global Carbon Trace. 35 listed projects. These are projects that are in the pre-registration phase. Of the projects that are registered, these have generated already approximately 67 million verified carbon credits that have already been issued. And of this volume, already 42 million verified carbon credits have been retired. Oh, also something else. So there's 35 projects listed, and of those 35, 2 are biodiversity initiatives that are currently in the pipeline. And we are, in 5 continents, more than 10 countries. And in terms of sectors, it's important to mention that of the projects both registered and listed, more than 70% are in the nature-based solutions sectors, approximately 25% in energy and waste, and the remaining 5% in sustainable transportation. Well, this map this aims to show a little bit more about our global impact, where there are projects certified by biocarbon. There's emblematic nature-based solutions projects in countries as Panama, Colombia, Peru soon, and hopefully today at eGreen will probably tell you about a project that they plan to certify with biocarbon, also in a Red Plus, Chile, Argentina, many nature-based solutions projects, but also renewable energy and waste, mainly in Argentina. And in Argentina, we also have our second biodiversity initiative that is currently listed. And also we're expanding to Africa. We already have a few initiatives already listed in Africa. There's one very interesting project for conservation and restoration of natural savannas, and also trying to expand more to Asia with some initiatives listed in also biogas plants, also nature-based solutions, and also in Turkey with new renewable energy plants. But just to give you an idea of where we are located currently, which shows our global presence. And that said, like to go into what brings us together today. What is our technology vision, and where we want to go with technology? So as I mentioned, technology is a core component of our work. We have a registry administered by Global Carbon Trace, which is supported by blockchain technology to ensure the complete transparency of the data, the integrity of the data, the traceability of the credits to avoid complete double counting. And initiating from the registry technology is a very important component. The registry also includes functionalities to be interoperable with marketplaces and other types of platforms via API integrations, and the registry is also compatible with voluntary and compliance markets. Also, we last year published guidelines for tokenization of carbon credits, and also in the future biodiversity credits as well, we hope, in order to allow for the efficient monetization of these types of environmental assets. And Lucas Sanger, who's our advisor on digital tools and technology, will later tell you guys more a little bit about this tokenization guidelines and what we can achieve with this. And the news coming next is that we are launching today in this webinar a working group for digital MRV in order to be able to integrate all tools related to DMRV into the methodologies, registry, and project cycle overseen by BioCarbon. It's being launched by us, but it's going to be coordinated by Planet 2050. Lucas Sanger is also CEO of Planet 2050, and we're really happy to announce this today. He will tell you a little bit more, but just to let you know, tomorrow we start the stakeholder consultation of the document we've put together regarding this working group. So we urge all stakeholders interested in this topic to participate in this public consultation. And also tomorrow we will open the call for applications goes live tomorrow as well. So Abdullah is gonna leave my email here in the chat, or we will also send you more information later about this. But if you're interested as a stakeholder to participate in the public consultation, or as an expert, individual expert or organization in participating in the group and sending an application, please write to me, and I will send you the information by tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much. This is what I wanted to contribute today, and happy to hear the rest of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Paloma, for this great introduction about BioCarbon Standard and also the upcoming working group. Everyone is welcome to this. You can send Paloma an email, and we will send all participants afterwards a message about this. Please, Lucas, go on.
Yeah, I will directly take over on your slides, Paloma. So, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. I'm Lucas. I'm a member of ECOTA. I'm advisor at BioCarbon. The topic of today is quite close to my heart because in my past, I've built digital platforms for carbon accounting and verification, and I've seen the transformative potential it can have on people, communities, and markets. and it's exactly the topic that I'm glad to support BioCarbon with since almost 2 years. Last year, I also co-founded Planet 2050, where I serve as CEO, which is focusing on scaling carbon markets through carbon finance, but also strategic and technology services. So again, digital MRV is something very capital for us. So about 2 years ago, we indeed started the process with BioCarbon to think about tokenization. So, some people that are a little bit new to the topic may wonder why tokenization, what does it have to do with carbon credits? So, as you know, since 5-6 years, we've seen the emergence of decentralized ledgers, blockchain technologies, and together with this, we've seen a realm of a lot of new applications for finance, tokenization of real-world assets, and also a lot of application around sustainability, sustainable development goals, and climate finance. And a lot of projects have tried to basically connect the digital world with the world of carbon standards, which traditionally is rather paper-based and not so digitalized. And BioCarbon has been one of the first ones to embrace it, meaning to move the carbon credits, which are sitting on a traditional registry. Think of it as a bookkeeping records with the number of credits attached to projects that are registered on BioCarbon registry. So connect these credits to digital platforms where the life cycle and all the activities of that credit can be fully traced, fully verified in a way that we can ensure there is no double counting and we know exactly at what point is the credit in the life cycle. Is it retired? Is it locked on a secondary platform? Who is the owner of these credits? And together with the blockchain technology, we've seen a lot of innovations about giving wider access to the carbon market to individual people, but also think about e-commerce platform, right? Automatic offsetting platforms that can be embedded in your typical online purchase or even your flight offsetting experience. So we've seen a lot of innovations in that space, but the digital rail that power it is still globally missing. So this is why exactly some carbon standards and marketplaces and startups in the space try to come up together and define the ways that we can move carbon credits better in a more digital and transparent way. So this, of course, in the beginning, we've had at BioCarbon a few initial experiences, which led to aim at initial standardization. Because when you think about a token, it's a digital representation of an asset, which can be either a real-world asset, like an off-chain traditional carbon credit, or it could be a native digital asset, like a native digital token. But there's a lot of ways you can define it, a lot of ways that you can identify these tokens and attach data to it. And that's exactly why we started about 2 years ago, also a working group focusing on tokenization. And so we included things that are very important. Who is authorized to tokenize carbon credits from BioCarbon? What are the essential security safeguards that need to be placed into the tokenization itself in terms of cybersecurity risks, but also in terms of technical compliance and technical standards for the token? Also requirements in terms of transparency. So there are requirements to always enable a clear view on the registry of where are the tokens created and who is owning these tokens, which again is possible and cannot be faked or double counted through the use of distributed ledgers. And then we included a number of other safeguards and directions. And I think there's been a lot of participants in the market that reached out to BioCarbon and asked of how they can also integrate. And I think one of the first double bridge transaction was actually performed with BioCarbon together with Stalo, the blockchain-based marketplace. And a lot of projects have followed, and the tokenization guidelines is exactly there for it. Maybe you can move on to the next slide, where you'll see a beautiful map, which is not to be detailed right now, but it's just an indication that if you want to learn more about how this type of process can work in practice and how any company or digital marketplace can integrate with the carbon standard, I think it's a really good way to learn about it and look at the tokenization standard that's available on BioCarbon website. So what you see on top is a traditional life cycle, right? As a proponent or stakeholder in the market, you open an account, or let's say as a project developer, you will review your project, you will get into the certification and registration of your credits, you issue your credits, the credits will be transferred to another participant, a broker, a trader, and then it will be retired. With the tokenization, what happens is that you're connected to an API to BioCarbon, and you're authorized to mint the token. That's the step. I take the shortcut a little bit, but the step 8 you see on the map. At that point, you're authorized to create a digital representation of the carbon credit on a public blockchain. You mint the token. The token can be transparently and securely exchanged with participants in your marketplace. You have possibilities to delist the token, to burn the token, to authorize certain participants to interact with this. And then once someone is making an online digital purchase of a carbon credit, let's say, and a retirement of the credit, this token will not exist anymore. And the final proof of retirement, which is the one from the underlying standard, BioCarbon, will be sent to the user. Right. So again, we'll not go into much details here. The document is absolutely not technical. I think it's easy to understand for everybody, especially break down these concepts. I think it's fair to say that the ecosystem is still looking for more standardization and guidance, and we hope this document serves as one. There's been, some early initiatives from other market participants. I think about the Global Business Blockchain Council with the Interwork Alliance. So there are other references that we can recommend the ecosystem to look at. And of course, contact Abdullah and ECOTA if you want to learn more. But I think this document is a strong basis. All right. So moving on to the topic of digital MRE. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of context here. At Planet 2050 itself, we are investing into projects, especially projects that are at early stage. And I wanted to share a little bit about this because I think we are in an interesting place when it comes to digital MRV, and we really understand why it's very important to bring high quality projects to the market and to create more trust for everybody. With digital tools that project developers can use, either for the project development activity, for the certification and validation activity, or for integrating to the market, there's a lot of benefits that are very important for us at Planet 2050. Think about a project developer at very early stage. You have possibility to de-risk your project and make it more attractive for investors, thanks to tools that can more efficiently help you to design your project, but also work on your monitoring and verification. And I think we'll talk about it after with the other speakers a bit more. You can also have more clear forecasts, right? Dynamic baseline and more efficient data to prove your baseline, which again gives more trust to investors when we especially review in pre-feasibility or feasibility stage your estimated project crediting forecast in the project lifecycle. Of course, a lot of project developers are complaining as well about long duration for registering and certifying a projects, right? We hear there's a lot of bottlenecks with auditors and validators. This is also another area where digital MRV can help because your data can be more efficiently shared with an auditor so that it fastens your registration and also your issuing processes. And finally, of course, when your project is certified and listed, like we saw with the tokenization guidelines, you can also better connect to markets, whether it's Web2 or Web3 platforms, by more seamlessly integrating the carbon credits into marketplaces, exchanges, and other online purchase experiences. So this is exactly why with Planet 2050 and BioCarbon, we decided to co-initiate this digital working group, which Planet 2050 has proposed to coordinate. With the support of ECOTA, they'll also participate in the working group and other members. And so again, back to what I was sharing with Planet 2050, I think that's exactly the reality of BioCarbon. The digital MRV can be at any stage of a project development. can really help to improve accuracy, transparency, and auditability, rapid project screening, support automated compliance check, enhance registry security, and so on. So the digital working group, just a little bit of details about this. It will start in September. It's going to be a series of workshops and calls with about 6 to 10 participants. And yeah, the forms will be made available in the next days. I think, Paloma, you have more details on the next slide. Yeah, and I think we have also proponents with Andres and Kobe in this call today, but there are many other experts, startups, even academics that are working on the topic of digital measurement, reporting, and verification. So again, I really invite you to apply to the working group. The outcome of the working group, also to be more clear on this, is basically recommendations and a draft of a roadmap for biocarbon to integrate. We've seen a lot of really good examples that we will be able to share and dive a little bit more in details, especially in the past 2 years on the integration of carbon standards with digital tools and digital platforms. So yeah, the form will be made available this week. The deadline will be the end of the month in July, and selected participants will be invited in September. So yeah, looking forward for that. Yeah, to kickstart the digital MRV working group and also engage a little bit more later on. Thank you, and I'll pass it back to either of you, Abdullah or Paloma.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lucas, for the great introduction of the digital MRV working group. We will go on with Andres Gonzalez, CEO of eGreen. He will tell us a little bit more about how these digital tools are used in real projects. So, Andres, I'm looking really forward into your part.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
what me
Good
interested.
morning. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Can you listen to me? I guess yes. Okay, cool. You know, as I mentioned in our coordination meeting, since 2022, I've been joining ECOTA webinars. And some of the tools, process, and models we are using at eGreen are now were discovered here. Then I hope we can give you some insight on how that helps in your activities, how we got in the past. Yeah, first, let's do it. Why we're using digital tools? Well, first, we need to understand why the market needed it. When we were conducting our customer discovery process among European companies, institutions, states, and in Japan, we understood that if they wanted to engage with remote projects on another side of the world, they need to trust in the information from the project. One thing. Second, when you talk about the potential landowners or project owners in Latam, usually they are really afraid to get into this project because they need to invest a lot of money. And sometimes it's very out of real or out of the state. No, we have this project in which we knew they were asked $6 million just for developing the carbon credit process, which is completely nonsense. And finally, most of the LATAM owners, the project owners, they simply don't know what is the environmental impact of the projects, and they need to know it. Then this is where using key digital tools become really relevant. What we are doing right now at eGreen, we are using different types of tools. I'm going to show you some of them. First, we're doing a keep and effective pre-screening of the project using satellite imaging analysis, using JEDI, ALOS-PASAR, Sentinel-2. They can give you the customers, potential customers, what is the potential of the project. Once the project is on the field, we're going to continue doing the monitoring on behalf of the project using remote sensing and on-ground sensing using IoT things. We want to reduce the project engineering costs. You know, sometimes when you are going to a reforestation, you need to plan hectare by hectare, and you need to speed up that process. For that goal, we are now working in digital twins and simulating the best alternative for reforestation. But all of this information is stored has a single source of trust for off-takers and stakeholders. To that goal, we're using, of course, blockchain and other decentralized systems to collect and fulfill that goal. And finally, in the process, we decided to create a non-fungible token, an NFT, just for storing the data as a backup for the carbon credits. Those NFT will be later converted into a solvable token, an SVT, when someone acquires the trade from the standard. Then we can not only with the backup, but also we secure that the data has an owner who is the same person who, or the same institution that bought the credit in the standard. Our value proposition for project owners and off-takers is very simple. We only sell inventory with backups. We don't sell projections or estimations. That's our business proposal. And if you talk about key challenge, well, understanding that the carbon credit opportunities in LATAM is not very easy. Most of the project owners or people in LATAM think that carbon credit ends with forest conservation, but understanding that there are IFM possibilities, reforestation, methane capture, biochar, enhanced rock weather, or even blue carbon, is really that they produce better impact is really a big challenge right now. And also the role of AI. Sometimes the customer, they don't understand why we need to use or what is useful using AI for this process, because they see they're planting trees only, or they are doing a kind of biochar process. And it's really, and for the owners, it's still, it's difficult to understand why we need to use it and what is good for them. But also, the key challenge is creating technology. We are using especially this approach when we have large or very complex projects. And here I can give an example. We are working on a project in Peru called Hawaii, which is almost 500,000 hectare project. We are working together with biocarbon methodologies. The key challenge here is not only because it's big, 500,000 hectares, a lot of sites, but also because they have 41 different locations. Some of them are separated over 300 kilometers each other. That means we need to collect information from these different small pieces of land, put it together and do the project. In this case, we need to analyze over 5,000 satellite images. Then we create technology in-house to speed up the process, reducing the expected time from 2 months to only 2 weeks. This is really things we achieve every time we find something different, or something completely complex. Where is the learning of this time? In the process of doing the process of MRV process, helping to the potential owner who's going to be the result of the project, it's good to them know it in advance. Try to put in advance to the verificator what's going to find in the future is something they need to understand clearly before to get into the project. And that is something we want to deliver to the project owners, and then they can trust in what they're developing. That's it. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm waiting for the questions later.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andres, for this explanation of the challenges that you had during your work. We will go on straight forward with Kobe, who will tell us a little bit more about this digital MRVs. So, Kobe.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you guys all for having me on. It's great to be on a panel with all these great people. And yeah, so I can just kind of dive into it. I know you all probably have a bunch of questions, so I won't hold you up too long. So I just want to give a brief introduction to CANUP and what we do. So I'm just going to try and answer 3 questions. What is our technology? How do we support our partners? And then who do we work with? So what is our technology? So at CANUP, we leverage AI models to interpret satellite imagery to produce ecosystem analytics. So what does that mean in simple terms? That means that we've developed AI models that have been trained off of over 60 million hectares of data to be able to identify and determine how much carbon, how much biomass, canopy height, tree height, forest cover there can be within existing forests. And so essentially, again, we're using our AI models to produce ecosystem analytics. And so how do we support our partners? We're functioning in the voluntary carbon market, supporting project developers, investors, standards throughout the life cycle of a project. So as early on as project feasibility, what areas do I want to develop an ARR project on or a RED Plus project on? To how many carbon credits can I issue? To carbon quantification in alignment with methodological requirements, and your annual monitoring and then verification at regular intervals. So if you have a remote sensing need and the need that you have is replicable and automatable, the chances are we at CANUP can help you save tons of time and money on getting what you need to be done. And so who do we work with? I know I just briefly touched on that, but we're working with a number of different investors and project developers in the market. Some notable names are Alcott, EcoAct, and then even outside the voluntary carbon market, we're working with companies like ECOTA, helping them monitor their reforestation plots. So I'm more than happy to answer specific questions people have. And of course, if people want to meet with me afterwards or later on, always feel free to reach out. I can put my email in the chat. And lastly, I will say that there's great people on this call right now. BioCarbon Standard and eGreen are both doing excellent work. And we very much hope to be participating in this working group alongside BioCarbon Standard in Planet 2050.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. So we are open for Q&A questions right now. And we already received the first question from Alejandra Padin-Dujon. Hello, how will DMRV support biocarbon's qualification for unconditional CORSIA approval, ICVCM program approval? So, Lucas, I think that's a question that you can take over.
Either me or Paloma, I think when it comes to integrity, I think it's a good question. That of course a lot of market participants have at the moment. So Paloma, you want to take that question, or should I go ahead?
You can go ahead and then I complement, if that's okay with you.
Yes. Yeah, totally. So of course, when you look in the details of integrity requirements for ICVCM and CORSIA, so that's what the question is referring to. So ICVCM, for those not aware, is the Integrity Council for the Voluntary Carbon Market, and CORSIA is the market by the International Aviation Agency for aviation offsetting. Now, these two bodies, they act as so CORSIA is a hybrid compliance market, and ICVCM is more independent in the market, but they act as integrity safeguards to define which standard, methodology, sometimes also projects, or can be accredited with a certain label. In this case, the ICVCM Core Carbon Principle label or the CORSIA label. So now when you dive into the requirement of both of these integrity standards, a lot of this is actually related to how the carbon standard, in this case biocarbon, will deal with potential risks. For example, risks of double counting, risk of non-compliance. How do you deal with delisting your credits or resolving some issues that can happen between participants? And all of these processes is actually something that can be very much supported by digital tools. And when we talk about digital MRV, people think a lot about blockchain, AI, satellite, but I mean, think about the basics, right? So your project documentation file, your essential records, the way you collaborate as a project developer with auditor and validators. So yes, there's a number of these items that BioCarbon has already identified and is already working on in terms of standard operating processes. So it's more about procedures. But then there's a lot of tools that have already been identified and that will continue to be identified in the DMRV working group that will further facilitate this. And so when CORSIA and ICVCM, when they do their analysis, they will usually flag a number of items or provide some guidance of what can be improved for eligibility and for the labels. And again, the way to work in a digital world is definitely a big help. So yes, that will be part, obviously, of recommendations, I assume, but there we will also invite the working group members to, maybe share from their expertise or see what they see can really help with the eligibility.
Right. Yeah, I think that's ongoing.
I would just like to add that's actually a key objective from biocarbon side that we expect that will come out of the working group. So that's one of the main points that should be looked at. No, how can this help us align with international accreditations such as ICVCM and CORSIA? So just wanted to strengthen that. No, so that's going to be part of the outcome. And it's aligned with what Lucas said. Yeah, thank you.
If you guys don't mind if I hop on there as well.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of goes even, obviously CORSIA and ICVCM approval are both very, very important. But I think, DMRV acceptance is also something that's very key for the success of the carbon market as a whole. Being something like BioCarbon is doing right now with the DMRV working group, ensuring that all these projects have transparent, available data is key because it shows that the world as a whole that, there's actually really good work being done on the ground in the carbon market that's due to carbon market related activity. And if the world can see that, if important investors and corporates can understand that there is great impact that is coming from this, then that will really help the carbon market as a whole scale. And then I think that kind of just will create maybe additional regulation that comes from all of that. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kobe. So we have 4 minutes left. I have a question. Kobe, you mentioned in the last sentence before that, so during the agenda speech, about the collaboration that will come on. What was it about? Do you want to talk more about it with BioCarbon Standard and Green?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate, particularly with biocarbon standard and eGreen, and I think that this will shed some insight into particularly how people can leverage CANUP as a service. But I mean, eGreen is providing really comprehensive support to project developers, and they can leverage CANUP as a tool to support that high quality monitoring and reporting. Like I think that there's, even if there can be some overlap, I think a lot of players in the carbon market have particular niches, and the team at eGreen is very open to exploring those opportunities to collaborate and to leverage high tech support in addition to what they're already doing internally, that great work, other external support like CANUP, and biocarbon standard as well. Obviously, the DMRV working group is a big sign of that. I mean, just the fact that they're open to having this collaboration, open to hearing external perspective is a great sign. So we're very much looking forward to that as well. But also biocarbon standard, they're very keen on making remote sensing compatible, high-tech compatible methodologies, which is also an excellent signal for the market and for collaboration with high-tech providers and the standard setting bodies as well.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. So we are almost finalized the time. We don't have questions left in the live chat. Lucas, I have a few questions left about the DMRV working group. I think this is a
Yes.
very important topic, and the market is evolving at the moment very fast, and we need this. And who should join this working group?
Yeah.
Which people should join it?
So the document will exactly so the document for the call for application will exactly detail if it's for you or not. Of course, we will be expecting people that have substantial experience and expertise in the topic in one of the area of digital MRV, which can be very broad. Of course, we are also willing to see passionate, motivated people. Joining a working group is always an opportunity to give what you know, but also to learn a lot from other participants, to create synergies, to engage, to develop relationship with other members. We are also, maybe one thing, they are sometimes individual that have themselves in their background, in the experience, that have come across a lot of digital MRV hurdles and challenges, maybe as consultant or as project developer themselves. So we accept applications from individuals, and we also accept applications from organizations themselves. So yeah, I think that's a broad mix, and ideally, I think it would be interesting to have a wide representation of different stakeholders. So project developers, people representing maybe more the buyer or the investor side, technology companies such as CANUP and others. So there's a wide range of people that can apply, really. Yeah, so excited and looking for this. And yeah,
Okay.
maybe I'll also just add a point, which, again, when we talk about digital MRV, I think there's been a lot of focus on how do we verify existing projects. But what I'm very excited about is how do we ensure the next generation of project developers, right? That needs to come up. We had a question about CORSIA. We know that there is a shortfall of CORSIA project. But again, also in conservation, in LATAM, there's a lot of new project and project developers that will come up. So how do we ensure that at the level of project design, project developers are equipped with the best technologies? Because if your project is wrongly designed, you may add any level of digital MRV on top. It's just not going to work. And I think there's a very wide range of digital tools that can help. Think about governance, voting, early engagement with stakeholders, survey tools, a lot of tools that you can use in your feasibility of your project. I think we don't talk about this enough. So, quality by design and DMRV by design. I think we'll also make sure that this is a focus in the DMRV working group so that there can be solutions for everyone at every stage of their project.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lucas. So thank you everyone for joining our webinar. And for all our participants, Paloma, Lucas, Colby, and Andres, thank you very much for your time and sharing your expertise in the space. And this video will be afterwards be published on our YouTube channel as well. You will have the time to check it again. And yeah, we will send over afterwards the invite for the DMRV working group to everyone who participated today in this webinar. And if you have any questions left, you can reach out to us via LinkedIn and also via email. We will send you afterwards a summary to this, and you can get in contact with us. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you much.
Good to
Thank
see you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, Paloma?
Yes?
Great. Okay, the webinar is now offline.
Okay, good. So I need to send you the